By now, you've probably heard my magic wand story. It's a brand that's been part of my personal journey for more than 20 years. But no matter how many times I sing Magic Wand's praises, I'll never be able to fully capture the story of this incredible brand. Well, now journalist and author Kate Sloan just completed a limited audio series documenting the history and impact that Magic Wand has created over the last 56 years. It's called Making Magic. And the series chronicles Magic Wand's incredible brand story through interviews with nearly 40 experts, performers, business owners, educators, and fans. So I got a sneak preview of this series, and what I loved is that Kate weaves together snippets from all their interviews into this amazing story arc. She covers Magic Wand's journey from appliance store massager to its legendary influence on culture and sexual independence, and it's all just fascinating. The first episodes of Making Magic are available now at makingmagicseries.com or on all popular podcast platforms. Just search for Making Magic or visit makingmagicseries.com today.
There's a swell happening where I think a lot of people are now sick of the swipe culture, and there's this thing called self-partnered, where people are like, you know what, I'm going to work on myself. And I think this is what's going to happen. I'm hoping it's what happens to get people to kind of look inward and go on their own self-journey.
So tell me, I hope that people are doing that, because this whole journey of like, it's sort of similar to what you were saying about we feel like something's broken if we're not dating. So like, well, it's almost like our duty on the planet is to keep dating, keep having sex, but giving people permission, it's okay to slow down and say, what do I actually want? Who am I without a relationship?
Right. I think our duty is to be the best version of ourselves as possible. And I think the ripple of that is sex and all the great things that happen with sharing your life with someone else. But I don't think that's the sun we revolve around. I think we need to kind of take the power back and go after our dreams and do what we feel is honest to us. And then if we happen to meet a partner, now we're coming in as a whole person instead of trying to fill holes.
Thanks for listening to Sex with Emily. I'm Dr. Emily, and on today's show, I'm joined by the angry therapist John Kim to talk about his book, I Used to Be a Miserable Fuck, as well as the true way to man up. Topics include, how can you go from being an angry macho guy to an evolved version of yourself? What are some steps fathers and parents in general can take to become better role models? Why being vulnerable can help you when it comes to maintaining your relationships, and how working on your mind can help you be more attentive in the bedroom. All this and more. Thanks for listening.
Look into his eyes. They're the eyes of a man obsessed by sex. Eyes that mock our sacred institutions. Bedroom eyes, they call them in a bygone day.
Hey, Emily, you got a boyfriend? Because my man E here, he just got his heart broken. He thinks you're kind of cute.
A girl's got to have her standards. Oh, my.
Do women know about shrinkage?
Isn't it common knowledge?
What do you mean, like laundry? It shrinks?
Can we not talk about sex so much?
Are you kidding me?
Oh my God, it feels so good.
Being bad feels pretty good. But you know, Emily's not the kind of girl you just play with.
You're listening to Sex with Emily. We're talking about sex, relationships, and everything in between. For more information, check out sexwithemily.com. You're going to love our site. We've got lots of information for you on our site, and Sex with Emily across the board on all social media. Intentions with Emily. For each show, you guys, let's set an intention together. What do I mean by this? Okay, so you're listening to the show now. Think about, like, what am I going to get out of listening to this episode? It helps so much to set an intention because, you know, once we have an intention for something, we end up manifesting that and it happens. It could be, I'm wondering what it means, you know, to really be a man. I keep hearing about toxic masculinity. How do I really man up in a way that's healthy? Or I've been struggling internally. I didn't think traditional therapy would be helpful. What do I do? Well, my intention for the show was to help you understand that I really like John Kim, and I think that his message for men is really healthy, and I think it's a way to kind of ease you guys into therapy and realize, you know, or maybe even call it coaching. I think you're going to like his attitude, and it's going to be inspiring for men and for women. So enjoy the show. John Kim, aka The Angry Therapist, and promoting his podcast and a lot of interesting things that you're doing. The Angry Therapist, Instagram is The Angry Therapist. All this stuff will also in theangrytherapist.com. It'll all be in our show notes at sexwithemily.com. You're a licensed therapist, John Kim, and after going through a divorce, you decided, like, you pioneered the online life coaching movement. Wow.
Yeah, I was frustrated with the clinical world and how you become a therapist. I know you have a PhD, so I don't know which route you took, but it was lonely and expensive, and I just thought there was a better way to help people help other people, especially with the internet and, you know, all the different ways we help people now.
I feel like you are such a strong male voice, like you have such a great male perspective, on masculinity and relationships. And I think, I think that men need that. You have like a different version of what it means to man up.
Yeah, I think...
and you had to go through it.
I had to go through it. I went on my man journey about 10 years ago after divorce. I always feel like after an expired relationship, the soil is so rich to actually grow, depending on how you look at it. If you have anger and resentment and you go that way, then not so much. But if you really look inward, you're going to go on your hero's journey. And so I went on mine a decade ago. Yeah.
This is what I love, is because I believe that we all need to go on a journey in some ways. And so I feel like a lot of men do not ever take the journey. They don't even take the first step.
Yes. It usually takes something like they have to lose
traumatic.
something. Right.
I was going to say they lose a parent. They get really sick. They have a new lease on life.
Or lose a custody or something, right?
Exactly.
Right.
And then they're like, oh shit, this is my rock bottom. I have to start to feel what's wrong. I can't be angry anymore. I can't be. So that's because I feel like I love that you are here, because I feel like it's such a great example and such a role model, because when I sit here every night saying, I think you need therapy, you got to work on it, it's sort of this, people still think it means I'm crazy.
Right,
and so I love, you've kind of redefined that, having sex in an unconventional way. But I want to go back to your journey when you were 36.
Right.
You're getting divorced and you're angry.
I'm angry and I'm unhappy and I'm hurt. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. And then how did you decide I'm going to be like, what were you doing before then?
I was a screenwriter, and I wasn't happy, and I was chasing shiny things. And I thought that until I got the house in the hills and the Range Rover Porsche combo and all of the fancy things, I tied that to happiness. And since that wasn't happening, I was miserable. Hence the miserable fuck.
Okay, his book is I Used to Be a Miserable Fuck, and Every Man's Guide to a Meaningful Life. John Kemp. Yeah,
so I was in therapy myself, and I was talking to my own therapist, and he's like, what do you want to do if you can't do that? And I was like, I want to do what you're doing. I want to actually help people, and I love psychology. And then so at 35, I went back to school.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so is that when you first entered therapy, is when you were actually going on the journey, or had you dabbled before?
I dabbled before.
But by dabbling, you went twice.
I went when there was a problem.
Right.
Which
exactly.
you shouldn't do.
Exactly.
You should go before.
Right. So because you're actually building skills and tools.
Yeah. It's like when people work out, they don't go, you got to go to maintain.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I always say, people are like, oh yeah, I went twice. I'm like, no, if you went to the gym twice this year, you're not in shape.
Right.
Right. I mean, you have to, it's a continuous process, and it takes about a little bit of time.
Yeah.
6 months to a year until you actually first feel it sometimes. But I don't want people to be scared. So what was the first layer of the onion that you peeled back when you started going to therapy at 36? Because they always say therapy is like peeling back the layers of an onion.
Realizing that when you are in a relationship, you're bringing so much more to the relationship that has to do with your story, your wiring, attachment styles, love language, like all these things. I just thought, I thought love was basically I find someone attractive and let's go.
Right, exactly. Well, great sex for 2 years, and then I don't know what to do about it.
Right.
So you were that, and then you realize, oh no, I have to.
It takes work.
Right.
And you have to look at yourself, and you got to own some shit, And then I was like, oh, relationships are actually built. And I think, I have this theory that you have to swim past the breakers to build something sustainable. And I think most people don't, because after the honeymoon, after the, the great sex and all that, if things start getting boring or stale, or there's stuff happening underneath that you're not aware of, then suddenly you bounce. And especially today with like swipe culture, everyone thinks that there's, we're all like baseball cards now.
Right. Exactly. So, like, oh, there's a problem, then I'm going to sign up onto the app again and dump this person. We know this. We get it. We've gone through therapy and done it. But a lot of people are still living in this place of like, when the honeymoon's over, we don't want to have sex. There's a huge problem, but I have no one to go to. I don't know who to talk to about it. So they don't even know that you could fix it.
Right.
But they don't feel like therapy would save. And so they blame themselves and think, oh, well, then I'm a bad person, or my partner's a bad person, when really it's just a matter of learning how to work together.
They create their own prison. They're on an island talking to that volleyball, like Tom Hanks.
Yes, exactly.
Right.
Okay, you want to help me answer a call? Let's talk to Zach in Florida. He's 32. Hey, Zach. Thanks for calling.
Hey, Dr. Emily. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing? I'm here with John Kim, the Angry Therapist. You got two here to help.
Yeah, well, you spoke to a lot of my truth. So I'm in a new relationship.
Okay.
Everything is perfect. We mesh well together. Our affection is great outside of the bedroom. We have the same values. However, when it comes to the bedroom, I can't say it's 100%. I have always viewed sex as very animalistic. I like it rough.
Okay.
And he's a much more passionate guy. I see this going somewhere further, but I want to learn how we can work in synergy together to kind of make that happen, because he's not in my lane. I'm not in his lane.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. How long have you guys
how do
been?
we kind of mesh those two lives?
Okay, so you know that. Okay, that's a great question. So what you're saying is that you know that you want to be a little more rough, and he's more like passionate, wants to make it last longer, and you're just like, what do we do? So I always say, I'd love to hear from you, John Kim, that you just gotta talk about it. Like a lot of this stuff is just like we feel like we have to show up already knowing how to be our partner's best lover.
Yes.
And then we don't try and we get nervous because we think, oh, I'm going to fail them. I'm going to fuck up. They're going to leave me. When my belief is just having a really honest conversation with your partner without like shaming or blaming and thinking like, you never do this or I can't ever be as passionate as you want. Just be like, hey, you know what? I kind of like a little more rough. You want some more passion? Tell me more about what that passion looks like. I'll show you what the rough looks like. Let's try to figure out what could work for both of us.
Yeah, I was going to say, what a great opportunity to create some new love experiences. I think it's about tossing old blueprints that we keep trying to chase, obviously communication, and creating some new experiences. So being open, curious over judgmental.
Okay. All right. So Zach, what about just having a conversation and being like, you know what? I'm so into this relationship. It's so hot. Our sex life, not in the bedroom. But when you guys are like having dinner, going for a walk, and just saying, let's just talk about this because I wanted this to work. So.
Yeah, I'd definitely be open to that dialogue.
Okay.
You're just always worried about it at first because you're like, oh,
well, yeah,
they're going to think I'm a freak.
Yeah, no, but they're not. Here's the thing. I have to tell you that's why most of us do not have the conversation. And that's why I'll always have a job. That's why John Kim will have a job. People don't know how to even start the conversations, right? So you're not a freak. You're not alone. It's not weird that you didn't think to talk about it. But now you can. And I'm telling you, the right people that you're with are going to be so grateful. I believe that you are like asking about it because they've probably never talked about it either.
Yeah.
Right? But we tell people, okay, Zach, so I'll be here every night. You can let me know how it goes. Okay, Zach, thanks for calling. Right? Don't you think a lot of it, John, is...
Yes. Why don't people talk about sex?
Literally because what he just said. I mean, I think that's such a great example because we're afraid that we're weird, we're not normal, that our partner's going to think we're freaks and they're going to leave us. We're going to say it wrong. We're going to insult them. And maybe if I say I want to be spanked, but what if I change my mind on a million things?
Right.
And then we're like, you know what? I'll just wait for my partner to read my mind or to get better at it. Or maybe I won't be this freak anymore.
Right.
And then we stay with someone for years or months too long. And then we just silently suffer and have bad sex and then we die.
Yeah, exactly.
But we don't have to.
No, I think it starts with you're right. It starts with a conversation. Why are we so open to talking about other things that we want in our life? But when it comes to the bedroom stuff, it's like just a lot of jumping to conclusions.
Exactly.
Yeah, we
just jump to conclusions and then we just shut ourselves down. We have all these coping mechanisms that allow us like we don't feel. So what I want to know, Jim from Florida has been on hold, and Jim is 74, and I want to help Jim. Hey, Jim, what's going on? Thanks for calling Sex with Emily. I'm here with John Kim, the angry therapist, but he seems pretty chill right now.
What's up, Jim?
Hey, what's going on, Jim?
Hi, Emily. How are you?
Great. How can I help you, Jim? Tell me everything.
I just discovered your program in the last couple months, and I wish I'd met you 24 years ago because I love petite women who love to talk about sex. I'm 74.
Okay.
And my wife and I'm in a sexless marriage. I've tried everything. I've tried toys, porn, discussions.
Okay.
She doesn't like to talk about it. She had a hysterectomy about 5 years ago.
Okay. How old is she, Jim?
She says she has 71.
71, got it. Okay. What did she say she has? Pain?
And not so much pain. In fact, I just got your Musk Blue, the caramel chocolate.
Oh,
so
good.
I've been listening to you.
Good, thank you.
And one of the other things, because of some of the medicine I'm on, it's hard for me to get an erection.
Right. Okay.
But that to me is only a small part of what you can have in terms of sexual intimacy.
It sounds like maybe you're just really missing the intimacy right now. That's not just penetrative sex.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. And then your wife is
resigned to watching porn and masturbating.
Okay. Well, that's okay. You know, that's nothing wrong with that. But what I would love you to do is
I don't think there's anything.
Right. Well, Jim, have you asked your wife, have you said, well, what is it about sex? You said she had a hysterectomy, and I might have cut you off there, but I thought you were saying she had pain. Is it more like she's lost complete interest? Have you asked her, like, maybe what she does like about sex? Okay. Why does she say she doesn't want it?
Yeah, it's just a lack of interest anymore.
Okay.
And, her comment is, all my girlfriends feel the same way.
Yeah.
And I keep saying that everything I read, anybody, you can have sex up into your 80s. And I heard you say that the other day.
Yeah, also. You can. And so how was your sex life before 5 years ago? How was it 8 years ago?
Very good.
Okay.
She was never one. In fact, I used to, all my buddies used to say that, the wife had the headache story, and mine never did.
Right. Okay. Well, this is what I think, Jim. I think the first thing you have to do is just really just ask her, like, maybe you guys could do a little walk down memory lane and be like, remember when we did have sex? Like, what is it that you loved the most about our sex life? Or you could just say, what's your most memorable time we had sex? Or what are the things that or maybe you can remember things she liked. Because maybe it is just starting slow. Maybe it's about, a massage. Maybe it's drawing her a bath, massaging her feet. I feel like for so many of us, we get shut off from sex and we forget because touch is so important, and kissing and holding each other. And so maybe you start slow with that. What do you think, John? Do people call you John Kim?
Yes. Thank you.
I'm call you John Kim, the NK therapist.
Jim, first I want to applaud you for even making this a priority, even calling in. I think
love it.
Someone who's 74 and is actually talking about this is amazing, right?
Yeah, he's amazing.
So kudos for that. And also, it's hard to have sex when you don't feel sexy. And I wonder if because of, her past and history, all that has made her not feel sexy as a being. And so I wonder how much of this is that. So I think it would be about supporting her and making the best that you can, making her feel sexy as a person. And of course, that's her job too, right?
Yeah, exactly. But right, Jim, how do you think how's her self-esteem right now? Do you feel like she's maybe not comfortable with her body? Do you think it's any of that stuff?
Well, I think there is some of that. She's actually, she's in very good shape and we're retired in Florida. And she is in better shape than most of the women.
Well, that's external, though.
When she was, that's the other thing. When she was 20, she was the type that when we were at the beach and she walked across the street in a bikini, all the cars stopped. Mm-hmm. And now, I believe that even though I think her body's still really nice, I'm not sure she does.
Right.
Yeah, I get that.
And she had an important job.
Okay. Do you guys ever? All right. Well, I mean, Jim, I think maybe just starting the conversation with her.
Tell her how sexy you think she is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let her know she's sexy. Let her know that, maybe if there's things that that do make her feel good, like pampering, going away together, finding things, if she's stressed out with work, maybe she needs some time. Because, we have to remember that the brain is our largest sex organ and we're not focused on it at all. It can be hard. Like, it's really, especially for women to go from 0 to 60 and 0 to turned on. So it's like maybe there's ways you could slowly, bring her back to those feelings again. Of feeling pleasure and,
Yeah, and I think foreplay starts when you wake up.
Yeah.
So staying connected.
Yeah. Touching. Asking her what she needs from you. Not just sexually, but how does she need you right now in her life? Maybe she needs you more emotionally. Mm-hmm. Maybe she needs physical. Maybe there's something going on where you could just be of support. Because I'm telling you, when we learn to give to our partners in their time of need, however they need it, then you get back what you need. That's just kind of how the energy works there. Okay, Jim?
Okay.
All right, Jim. I hope that's
You've been helpful. I have started that type of thing by getting her to let me in the shower for a few minutes.
Good. Okay. Start small. Yeah, little baby steps, right? Like, that's a thing. This is never. Thank you so much, Jim. I'm so glad you found the show. You can find me here every night. Just try the next step. That's what I love. It's like 5 minutes a week. People can just call, do one step, do the next thing. It's tough, right? Connecting in long-term relationships.
Yeah.
Keeping connected. What have you learned now? And
I think that's why things like date nights are important. In front of me, next to my coffee, I see a sex toy here. I think a lot of people.
It's not used.
It's not used. Okay. Especially men. And this is, I think also culturally, they feel that if they have to bring things like toys into the bedroom, then it's going to take away from their quote unquote manhood. And I think that's also something that needs to.
It's such a right. Exactly. They're like, no, it's actually. But I understand that. I feel like a lot of what male sexuality is based on is performance.
Yeah.
And if they interpret a woman needing something else besides their penis, like they're failing as a man. So that's the messaging. But once we can get people over that hurdle and realize, no, actually, it's really hot to see your partner turned on, and it can feel great for you too. Do you have experience with toys?
Yes, but I didn't experience toys until mid to late 30s.
Okay.
But once I've discovered them, I was like, oh my God, it's like a whole new land.
Right? You're like, what was I worried about?
Yeah.
Exactly.
But I think the prevention was, again, the locker room talk, me thinking that if I brought a toy into the room, then it makes me less of a man.
Right.
So
how would you, because this is why you're here. You're here for many reasons, John Kim, the angry therapist. But I want you to talk to the men and tell them, like, you're a dude, you work out, you do, what I love is you actually do CrossFit therapy sessions.
Sure.
I feel like you're the kind of guy I want people to hear that, like, you were them. You were this every man who didn't like vibrators. Maybe you didn't know about pleasing women. I'm just guessing. You had anger. You had resentments.
Right.
You thought you were the most important thing in the world. You did believe that if once I get the car, the job, the house, the wife, I'll be happy. And you realize, no, none of that. All that stuff is not true.
Right.
And now you're here. And you're successful. And you have, I think you have a successful relationship. So I want to hear more about like your journey of like how looking at you now.
Yes.
How do we get men on this path?
I think everything.
You talk to them.
Yeah, I think everything starts with, and it's a great time now to talk about this, but I think it's about working on your relationship with yourself first, and during, and forever. And part of that is, what do you like? What part of that is self-care? Part of that is, it's not just about, because I think for men, it's a lot of external, like the scoreboard, performance, corner office, what you drive, instead of who you are, your worth as in how you make someone feel.
But to me, that is such a big jump for in a society where men are just, it's based on what they make, how they can support you.
Sure.
Could almost say it's primal.
Absolutely.
I am my bank account. I am my car because I am here. I have to provide for family and for people. Like, that is who I am. I have to spread my seeds. So, okay, John Kim, you're telling me to get in my body and feel. That's bullshit. I got to go out and make a living. My wife wants that. You know what I'm saying? So how do you...
For me, it was about
it
was about connecting to parts of me that I have locked into a hope chest, because I think as we grow up, we become adults, we lock parts of ourselves away.
So what was the first thing you opened up from that chest?
like you mentioned CrossFit, right? When I was 12, I used to break dance, and it made me feel so alive coming home from school and just spinning on my head and being part of a crew. And so I grew up, put my fat laces away, and then when I found CrossFit, it tapped into the spirit of that 12-year-old that I had locked away because I was so busy trying to,
You're on the track, trying to make it,
trying to chase the rainbow.
Right.
And so things like that, then I got into motorcycles, and I kind of became a whole person by connecting to parts of myself that I've locked away. And by doing so, it throws you into a journey, a little man journey. Well, not little, but a big man journey. Yeah. Right. And then you got to slay your dragons, and you start learning things about yourself, what you like, what you don't like. And I think in that space, you actually then start to talk about your feelings and talk about who you are. And then if you're in a relationship, it helps everything, because now you're being present.
So John Kim in a relationship at 46.
Right.
What can you give me an example of like maybe something you would have done at 36 that you see probably a lot of your clients doing, and then something now at 46, like
not being there, being in my head. Also, of course, in the bedroom. So
give me that example. Okay, you weren't present in the bedroom, maybe. So does that mean did you care about her orgasm?
No,
were you didn't care.
No,
you're like, what? I've heard about it.
So if I cared, it was because it meant that I was more of a man because she came. Right. Not because I wanted her to have a good experience.
Wow.
Today, I actually want her to have a good experience, right?
But that's I always sometimes can men do this journey, but that was through you
Yes.
feeling.
Yeah. And I think part of that also, being exposed to things like pornography at an early age where a lot of it's programming, the stuff that you see I saw stuff like that when I was 12, and it was basically...
What did you see?
Well, men with baby arms in between their legs.
I'm like, is that a new fetish porn? I get it.
Making me feel inadequate. A lot of women being submissive and dominated, and all of that stuff, And I can't imagine today, because this was in the 80s where to get pornography, you had to know somebody.
Right, exactly. It was like VHS, maybe,
Right.
if it worked.
Right.
I get it. We're going to take a quick break, and we come back even more with John Kim.
Can I just say, by the way, because when we're talking about
say
porn,
everything.
I want to
porn.
say, as still today as a 46-year-old man, I do watch porn. I just know it's a movie now. So I don't want to sit there, saying that I never watch porn, or I don't. I think that porn can be healthy.
Of course.
It just.
But you're like, there's
distance.
not real.
It's not real.
Right.
That's not my ideal of. It's fantasy.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Well, it's just so healthy. No, you're right. No, I'm telling you, this is the problem. And now men at 12, there's so much boys at 12. Much. It wasn't like they had to find someone who had some porn.
Right. Now it's literally just on the phone.
It's everywhere.
Yeah.
And then also, so what is going on with dating today? I feel like, is it all swipe culture?
I think dating is
never want to
dead.
grow up? Dating's dead.
Yeah.
Tell me more.
Well, when I was growing up, you had to ask someone out, and then I remember getting excited about it and washing my car and changing my 6-disc CD changer and all this stuff, right? So now it's
oh my God, I love it. Yeah.
It's literally shuffling through baseball cards and lots of false advertising, and then there's this thing called ghosting. And I think we're allowed to hide behind our phones, so we're not able to actually exercise the muscle to be human and to communicate. And it's like,
this is it. This is
that.
exactly
Yeah.
it. We had to, I keep saying, no, I can't believe I'm this person. I'm like, guys, in the 90s, early 2000s, you had to go up to someone and talk to them. You had to kill your own meat. Like, you had to go fishing.
Right.
You had to do the work. You had to earn it.
Yeah.
It wasn't just you sat home, half watching Netflix, chilling, smoking a bowl. No, you had to go out, and the muscles are just atrophied. They're gone.
So the fear is all the kids growing up now, if they don't have those tools, how are they going to earn or build a relationship if they can't even, you know what I'm talking about?
Right. Yes, this is what's
If they're finding someone while their date is in the restroom, how are they going to stay in a relationship and really look at themselves?
Exactly. So this is the thing, but they're like, we're telling them this.
Well, I think what's happening now, though, is
they're not listening. What do we do?
There's a swell happening where I think a lot of people are now sick of the swipe culture, and there's this thing called self-partnered, where people are like, you know what, I'm going to work on myself. And I think this is what's going to happen. I'm hoping it's what happens, to get people to kind of look inward and go on their own self-journey.
So tell me so that I hope that people are doing that, because this whole journey of like, it's sort of similar to what you were saying about, we feel like something's broken if we're not dating. So like, well, it's almost like our duty on the planet is to keep dating, keep having sex, but giving people permission, it's okay to slow down and say, what do I actually want? Who am I without a relationship?
Right. I think our duty is to be the best version of ourselves as possible. And I think the ripple of that is sex and all the great things that happen with sharing your life with someone else. But I don't think that's the sun we revolve around. I think we need to kind of take the power back and go after our dreams and do what we feel is honest to us. And then if we happen to meet a partner, now we're coming in as a whole person instead of trying to fill holes.
Right. Like that whole thing, like I need someone to complete me. It's like, no, you have to be the full person. Right. And before if you're looking, and I think when we were talking about like how I was dating before, I definitely think I was like this person, not they complete me, but they fill me up in a way that I couldn't fill myself up.
Yes,
but
that's
you just have to take a whole journey.
Enmeshment and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
So you don't do that anymore. So talk to me about some of the guys. What I love is that you see people who they come in and they do a CrossFit session. Or you go on a hike.
I've done that. Yeah. So I never had an office on purpose. And so I just started meeting people in coffee shops and on hikes. And I thought, like, if we're going to talk about life, let's do life while we're talking. And I called myself a coach because as a therapist, you're not supposed to do that. So I'm kind of like the therapist that went rogue. And still today, I just get on my Harley and I'll meet you at the coffee shop, and I just show up, jeans, t-shirt, and we just shoot the shit, you know? I mean, of course, with boundaries
you're a
and
therapist.
stuff. Right,
exactly.
But I'm now more of a coach with a clinical background instead of a therapist that that sits on the couch with you.
This is exactly what I want. I keep saying, like, should we? Been joking this year, saying, should we just? Before I knew you, John Kim, I've been saying, should we just tell men they need to see a coach? Because men are more likely to see a coach than a therapist.
That is true, because they file coach under performance, right, and then, but you know what? Great, then I'll be the Trojan horse. Let's talk about your performance, and then let's talk about your feelings.
But exactly. But how do you get in there? Like, because I believe that for getting him in the door. So if someone already comes in the door, already emails you or contacts you, and they're like, I'm ready for an appointment. So but they get in there and can you give me? Is there like a typical or something that you've seen a lot of lately? Client that comes see you or patient or however you call it?
Because of social media, they already kind of know who you are, and I'm not for everyone, right? And so when they meet me, they've already been following me for a while or watching my videos or whatever, podcasting, and so they know kind of what to expect. So it's not a surprise to them, and I've never seen them before, so I just show up. It's almost like a blind date. I just show up and wait for someone to approach me. I'm like, okay, let's go.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you sit, and then how does it start? Tell me why you're here. Like, if you're at a coffee shop, are they comfortable?
Yeah, they're a lot more comfortable than you would think. I've had people cry, but I also had people just be loud, and it's almost like I take the approach like we're friends. And last week I did a couple session in the park, Echo Park, and they brought a blanket, and I was like, this is amazing. Yeah. And there was a breeze, and they're just chilling, and it was like a 2-hour couple session that we did in the park, and I was like, this is like it's on. I'm not saying it's for everyone, but for me, it's on.
No, it's for me too. Yeah. I think that's great. I was going to go to the park anyway. Might as well do therapy.
Yeah, and I'm sure there's therapists listening to this thinking like, I would never do that, and then you shouldn't.
But exactly, of course. But that's why you're the Angry Therapist. angrytherapist.com. My question though is when they're sitting there, like a man comes to see you, it's your first meeting.
Yeah.
But like, I guess I'm wondering about the process.
Yes. So I think also
going from
now
angry, thinking that it's all about performance to like, oh, I have feelings. What I feel stuff. Like being like, no, there's like deep stuff you're blocking and getting that shit out.
I take a whole life approach, and I always try to figure out what's happening underneath, because it's never about what they came to see me for.
Exactly.
Right. So they're coming to see me for one thing, and then you realize there's all the stuff underneath.
Give me an example though.
My wife won't sleep with me. Okay, great. Let's talk about that. And then we start to dig deeper, and then there's patterns, and it turns out, because
I cheated on her, or because I one time told her this.
I don't create a safe space, or because I steamroll her, or because I don't do the dishes. I mean, whatever it is.
Exactly.
Right?
Okay, keep going. I'm excited. Yeah.
And then through that, and I think with me, and I don't know if it's because I work out or ride a motorcycle or whatever it is, I think they can relate to me because I don't have a shirt and tie, and I'm not coming at them. I'm coming with them.
Right.
So that's always been kind of
a great
approach.
Distinction.
Yeah.
You're not like the expert sitting there telling what you're like, let's have a conversation.
No, I also confess of my default, and I mean, I do it. I practice transparency on my blog.
That's what I love too. So in watching your blogs and your Instagram, The Angry Therapist, I was watching some of it, and I love that because it's so. Because people do think, well, if you're a therapist, you must just be walking through life doing everything perfectly, and you have boundaries with everybody, and you express your that we're human.
So the whole thing was an accident. I didn't sit down and I was like, oh, what's my brand? So after I went through a divorce and I was at the lowest point of my life, I remember Tumblr. I created a blog on Tumblr.
Yeah.
And I called it The Angry Therapist, thinking no one would ever see it. And my very first post was called My Fucking Feelings. And I just started to talk about, I didn't have any friends. I was in a dark place. I was broke. And so I just started talking about like the pain that I was in. And I think pulling the curtain back and showing myself made people kind of curious, like, who's this weird Asian dude talking about his feelings? That it's also it was kind of confusing to them.
Right.
And so I think that's what, got people interested in this kind of different way. Yeah.
And you never had to pretend that you weren't, that you were something other than you were. And maybe people like that because they feel like, oh, I get him.
I think it's more relatable. I think today people are more interested in who you are instead of the letters after your name.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
I think you're right. Like all they know is you helped them. Like I love that. Okay, well, we're going to take a call. You can call me 888-947-8277. We can talk to Nick in Vermont, 39. Hey, Nick, what's going on?
Hey, Emily, I'd just like to say that I've been studying the stuff that the diagrams of the clitoris and stuff, and the diagrams, and I'm getting your book.
Okay,
so
awesome.
I'm utilizing your information. I have a comment for Jim that for John Kim. I'm sorry that men should not consider their job and how much they earn as their entire identity.
Sure.
Can you turn your radio down, Nick? Turn your radio down, Nick. Turn it down.
I'm sorry. It's down.
Cool. You
All
may
right,
continue.
so we're much more than what we can earn and
Right.
what our job, and it's just what we do, not who we are.
Right.
Yes, and easier said than done. I still struggle with that myself.
Yeah, of
Right.
course. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
And I still struggle with it, but it's like it's something. I'm a son. I'm an uncle. I'm friends to people.
Mm-hmm.
And that's who I am. My recycling job, my composting job. That's what I do. That's not who I am.
Right.
Right.
Yeah,
Thanks
thank
for
you.
calling in,
Yes.
Nick. Bye. We have John calling from Oregon, and he's 51. He's John King. Hi, John. There's so many Johns tonight.
Hello.
Hi, John. How you doing? Thanks for calling. What's going on?
I am doing great.
Good.
Well, you said you want to know who John King was.
Well-
I'm just telling you, I'm here.
Oh, hey, John King. What's up? Oh, I did earlier. I was like, John King. Yeah.
Not much.
Hi, John King.
Yeah, you said I don't know who John King is, so I just thought I'd let you know who I am. And
Hi.
just want to say hello.
Hello.
Love the show.
Thanks, John. So nice to talk to
Love
you.
listening to you.
I'm so glad, John. Love having a real John King in the family here. That's actually thank you. Bye, John. We have fun
Emily,
here.
you could
Yes, babe?
you could hook me up with these diagrams of the clitoris. Yeah.
I guess maybe they didn't teach that in therapy
No.
school. So listen,
Yeah.
the clitoris has 8,000 nerve endings. It's the only organ that is created for female. It
Yes.
exists for female. I know you know.
Yeah.
You learned it.
8,000. That's a lot.
8,000 nerve endings in the
Very
clitoris.
sensitive. Guys,
It is.
be very careful with it. I think guys are too aggressive with it. And
Right.
when I say guys, I'm talking to myself as well. Because 8,000 nerve endings
Yeah.
is a lot of nerve endings.
The circumcised penis has 4,000 per person, just to give you
Yeah.
context.
Wow, right.
Yep.
So it's
And it's
double.
Double.
Yeah.
Exactly. You're good at
Stop
math.
biting it, guys.
Don't bite it unless she wants you to bite it. Do you believe that? So when you were saying when you were the 10 John Kim 10 years ago,
Yes,
you were like, it's about your orgasm and your pleasure. But now, are you in a relationship?
I am.
You're in a relationship. So do you feel like now you've kind of realized that like her pleasure is important? I just wonder how men can make it was more about learning.
I wonder also part of it is just being 46, because it takes more than the wind now. And also I'm not just thinking about orgasms, but I'm like, buy me dinner, like hold me. Like I'm actually softening as a being. So there's part of that happening as well. So it kind of slows down and makes you explore instead of.
Do you want her to buy you dinner or you want?
Yeah, I mean, I was just kidding.
Okay,
but
got it.
yeah.
I don't know. We've been talking about that all night. We're like, who pays, who doesn't?
Oh, right. I just meant that, when you're in your 20s, all you want to do is
bang.
Put it in.
Can I
Right.
ask you? So I don't know what to do here because I've got this staff of amazing people. A lot of them are in their 20s.
Mm-hmm.
Kristen's in her 30s. Brian 20. Okay. And then they're going on dates and they're swiping and it's fine as they should. They haven't exercised the muscles. It's fine. Then they're telling me about the guys they're meeting. I'm like, okay, do I even need to? He's 26 or he's 24. Or he hasn't done the work yet.
Yeah.
Do they have to just wait till they're 10 years from now?
Well, this is a
Like,
generalization.
what do we do with the millennials? And Kristen wants to get married in a week. She hasn't met the guy yet.
In a
She's
week?
32.
I really do.
She's 30.
Wow.
30
Help me, John.
Okay.
now. All
find
she
some.
wants, but it's like, anyway, what do we do with that?
I think
Because they're not 40s yet.
Man, I think men turn the corner a little bit later than women. I think around 26, women start turning the corner.
Yep.
They ask different questions. They
Yes.
want different things. They want substance. They
Yep.
want eye contact, right? They want men, I think like 30, 32, 33.
Maybe.
So if you're dating someone who's 26, you just have to know that's
it.
I'm not saying that all
I need
men are
them
like
to
that.
hear
though,
that from
right?
me,
But-
you. That if they're 26, they're like, they might not.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that they're like.
What?
I said I never said I
I'm
didn't
just
believe
saying,
you.
it's like your parent. I'm like Jamie's mom. We worked together for 4 years. She's 26. Like she hears me, but like
Right.
I'm like your parents. Like ask your father. Like, but John.
So if you date someone who's like 24.
No, never.
Well, but I'm just saying, you're going to get a 24-year-old, probably.
Exactly.
But, he may be mature and he may have, I'm not saying that a 24-year-old can't have a healthy relationship, but if he's playing video games, he's also 24.
Yeah,
Right.
no, exactly. I mean, I dated someone recently who was 37, and he was still not up to par.
Well,
yeah, my ex was 39 and he was still playing video games.
I was 35, picking my nose and having no sense of self.
But you had to go through the. But what about the guys? They call it the Peter Pan syndrome. Do you see these guys who are into their 40s and they're like, but they haven't had anything tragic happen. They never even committed to get brokenhearted. No one died, so they're still like kind of on their 40-something path. But they're not like wanting to feel.
Yeah, and I think today it's the internet has made it worse because now we're able to really not grow up. I think that back in the day in the 50s, when we had these very hard definitions of what a man looked like, I think part of what was kind of cool with that was you entered your man journey earlier than today, where you can be 37, the Peter Pan, not grow up, not have a job, whatever.
And then what happens? They just kind of find someone who doesn't really need stuff from them?
No, I think what they don't realize is that they're losing time, and then when they're going to be 50, and they're going to be like, oh, okay, now I'm looking for something.
Now I want a baby.
Now I want something that's bigger than me.
Yep. And are you seeing that in your clients sometimes?
Oh, all the time.
In their 50s, would you say?
And I think a lot of women are frustrated. That's big time. I get a lot of frustrated women.
Do you?
Yeah. So my next book's called Single on Purpose because of this frustration.
That's me. Not even because frustration. I mean, yes.
Yeah.
But part of it. But yes, single on purpose and single is fine. I want to change single. I love the being alone is one of the bravest acts and one of the biggest commitment to yourself and self-pleasure that you can do. And I think it's important.
Yeah. And it's not
Can't
about.
wait to read your next book. What's it? Tell me.
It's not about anti-relationships. It's about a pro-relationship with self.
Okay,
yeah.
A pro relationship with self.
Yeah.
All right, I like it. Okay, I got to ask you the 5 quickie questions we ask all of our guests.
Quickie questions, okay.
Ready? John Kim, biggest turn on?
The mind.
Biggest turn off?
Arrogance.
What makes good sex?
God, communication.
Something you tell your younger self about sex and relationships?
Throw away all your definitions and blueprints.
Number 1 sex tip?
Shit, sex tip. Kiss. More kissing.
Yeah.
Yes.
I love it.
Yes.
Okay.
I love
Thank you.
Kissing. Yeah.
Thank you for being here. They can find you theangrytherapist.com. Check out your book.
Yes, and Journey Coaching, JRNI, if you want to check out the coaching
We'll put this all in the show notes.
Awesome.
If you go to sexwithemily.com and you click on the show notes, we'll have all the links to all your things.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah.
All right, guys, thanks to my awesome team, Ken, Kristen, Elisa, Brian, producer Jamie, and Michael. Was it good for you? Email me, feedback@sexwithemily.com.